I wanted to start with your reaction to this breaking news, and we heard it in part there as well, that essentially this is something that a U.S. adversary would do when we're talking about doubling the tariffs on steel and aluminum. How do you react?
This is inconceivably bad policy. I hate protectionism. That's what economists do. We disapprove of protectionism for all sorts of reasons involving the gains from trade. But leave all of that aside and suppose you liked protectionism. What is the worst kind of protection to impose? Protection which raises the input for cost for all your key industries. And when you put a tariff on steel and aluminum, you're raising the input cost for things that employ 10 million people. So this is making us less competitive in huge industries that employ 10 million people. This is making a crucial input for ships, for other weaponry, higher priced at a time when we've got all kinds of national security challenges. This is improving the competitive position of people who produce cars in Asia or in Europe rather than North America. So this is bad for American working people, bad for American consumers, terrible for American national security, and creating huge uncertainty in markets. It's completely irrational and dangerous policy.
And it's certainly not good for Canada-U.S. relations either, for that matter. And one of the points, of course, that many people are making is that the U.S. president at the start of this term had said that he wanted America to enter a golden era. When we're looking at the markets and how they are responding to all of this protectionist policy, the tariffs on the country's largest trading partner, what would the motivation be if it's having such a negative impact on the economy on the onset right now?
We'll let President Trump and his advisors speak to their motivations, which I have to say are very hard for me to understand in terms of policy objectives like national security or prosperity. What I think is very interesting, if you look at the pattern in markets, is every time the president recommits himself to these policies or says that he's going to stay this course, markets go down. And every time there's some sense that they may waver back towards more normal approaches, markets go up. And as you, of course, know, markets look to the future and discount future outcomes. So when there's a regular pattern of that kind, it's telling you something. We have taken the recession risk in the United States over the next year from something like 10 or 15% on Inauguration Day to something close to 50% today. People react to these things. I can't believe that goodwill towards the United States, which contributes to purchases of American products, hasn't been badly hurt in Canada. And whether it's buying American distilled spirits or coming to warm American climes in the winter, or going to American universities, or watching American television shows, whatever it is, we are alienating people and governments in ways that I think are very much adverse to our interests. Look, the most important thing to understand in economics, and your new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, understands this extremely well and in a tough-minded way, is that it's not zero sum, that just because something's bad for an adversary doesn't mean it's good for you. And yes, these steps are going to hurt Canada, but that doesn't mean they're going to help the United States. In fact, the hurt is just going to spread and reverberate back and forth. I think that Mark Carney can and will perform a really important service for the world in calmly and firmly, but with total determination, resisting these policies. I never thought I'd find myself in a position where I was hoping another country would successfully resist the American president, but things have come to that point.
Mr. Summers, on the last point that you made there in regards to, the damage that's being done within America, because certainly it's unlikely that the U.S. president is very concerned about the economic damage it's doing within Canada. But certainly for Americans, for American industry, for the country's economy as a whole, tariffs are something that country will pay when they are importing these Canadian products. With such big industries, 90% of the aluminum and steel produced in Canada is being sold to U.S. companies. Do you think there is a real understanding from Americans that the tariffs is something that will do economic harm to them and their economy?
I think many Americans understand that, and certainly investors understand it, and that's why the stock market is going down. Certainly economists understand it, and that's why I've never seen the economics profession so united against a set of policies. I think substantial numbers of people in the broad public understand it. That's why confidence surveys are showing less and less confidence. I think we have a policy approach being pursued by our government that is coming from instinct and gut feeling rather than careful calculation of economic interests. And that's why this kind of policy program seems so alarming to me and many others.
Thank you for this, Mr. Summers. We appreciate your analysis and your insights.
Thanks.
That is Larry Summers. He is the former United States Secretary of Treasury.